1, 2. Good.
Always have good energy.
Hey. Welcome to episode 8 of Talking Big Uglies. Hit that like and subscribe, man. And tune in every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Shout out to our sponsors, Tone Drone Productions, with Tone and Mr. Nice and everything that they do to get this thing rolling. Special guest today, we have Jabari GRUMP Barry, decorated, one of the most decorated centers to ever play in the state of Maryland. Um, and we have Coach Kennard Brown, Coach KB, formerly known as, and we're going to talk some ball today, and we're going to get into Jabari's, past and his endeavors in the game of football and his football prowess since coming into his ninth grade year. So we're gonna talk ball today and just kind of get to know the inside scoop on Grump and his football past, so to speak, and his high school career. So Kennard, you there, Coach Brown?
Yes, sir, Coach. How you doing?
Good man, how you doing?
Doing well, Coach. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Jabari, Grump, you good?
Coach, I'm good. How you doing?
Good, man.
You right?
Look, man, we,
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
want to know when you first started, and tell us a little bit. Let's get started because we got time because you on Dolo Solo today, right? So
I
give us
got
a
you.
little background of like when you played youth ball, uh, and then we'll get into when you first got to high school and when you went to the boarding school. So just give us a little synopsis on your youth ball career.
Okay. All right. So youth ball, like it was like a an eye opener, you know. Um, of course, ups and downs of trying to develop as a player. But youth ball was fun. I didn't go nowhere else. I stayed with the guys I grew up with. Um, it was a lot of games won, a lot of championships with my guys. And even though we lost our last season, I felt like it was fun. It was a year to remember, of course. And yeah,
Hmm.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
because a lot of those guys from that team, that 14U team, a lot of them guys was Howard County All Conference. And even though we only won one game that year, but a lot of them guys made All Conference. Man, they was pretty good. Coach Brown.
Yeah, man. That's awesome to hear, Grump. Just the ups and downs of playing. Just having just a little seat in your experience of playing. It just was a wonderful experience just to see you develop and all those things. But a question I did have for you is just more on the All-Star games. Like, so you were a great player in youth ball, and you had the opportunity to play and be selected to play with some of the best players in your area in the region. So like those all-star experiences in the youth ball, like what did you learn? Like what are some of the like most like two of the biggest things you learned during that time in an all-star game or a tournament or before?
so I would say one is that it's always going to be somebody that's like as good or better or bigger, stronger. That's like one thing I learned from playing in the All Star games, like because I knew like when I played in the little leagues, um, I was sort of kind of like bigger than everybody, strong, and I knew what I was doing on the IQ portion of the game. But when I played FBU, when I played in Delaware in the Heat Bowl, I went against people that was as big, as strong, as fast, and as dedicated as the game, like as dedicated towards the game as me. So it was more like, um, don't sleep on those All Star guys for sure. And the second piece I learned is technique. Technique, of course, technique. Because when you go against those big, strong guys, you got to rely on, the things that like you came up on. So, of course, technique, staying low on the point of attack. You know what I'm saying? Sit down on a bull rush. Just stuff like that. So those are like
Awesome.
biggest things. The two biggest things.
Wow.
Mm,
Awesome. And I asked that question, if I could follow up, Coach. I asked that question because I think it's important for the mentality of the young lineman growing up. What you see in front of you is not necessarily the challenge before you, right? So you were able to travel in these all-star games, and you were able to see players, schemes, just a different experience that players in your area were not seeing, right? So you
Yeah.
understood that you were facing challenges that you didn't physically see. You had to mentally prepare yourself for those challenges, right? Am I right or wrong? Or tell me a little bit about what you think about that.
Yeah. So like I would say one of the big challenges that I did have was kind of getting in my own head about how big the person was. Like Coach said can like agree. Like when we played sixth grade FBU, I went against this dude from Texas, and I was just like I was a little scared to go against him because he was just bigger than me. He was 6'5", probably like 315 in the sixth grade. So like once I got older and got out of my own head of like caring how big the defender is, and then just playing 100%. I like shot up as a player. I shot up as a player. Yep.
And knowing
mm.
that, what advice would you give to some of the younger players, like coming up maybe in the youth program that you come from, or what advice would you have for a younger player, knowing that?
Just go in with heart. Just going with heart. Going with heart. And like man, just be a dog. Just be a dog because y'all bleed the same blood. Like y'all bleed the same blood. It's nothing like crazy he can really do to you if you going with that dog mentality for sure. And knowing your technique and listening to your coaches. Yeah.
Mm. Boy, so going into boarding school, I was shout out to Coach Kadeem Rogers, head
Yeah,
coach,
yeah, yeah.
formerly of Episcopal. I know he then kind of moved on to another location, but he was good to us, man. He was good to us. But talk about your boarding school ninth grade experience. I know it was kind of rough. Um, talk about that and how'd you get through that and that season was rough as a freshman. You going up against grown men in the IAC. Talk about the IAC playing them guys and making second team all conference your freshman year.
Okay. All right. So going into boarding school, um, it was an eye opener for sure. It was an eye opener, especially the first practice, because I wasn't really prepared for the conditioning, for the pace of the game. I wasn't prepared for it, and I would get chewed out a lot. Like I would get chewed out a lot from my own players to Coach Kadeem. But I kind of got the hang of it, as the days went by, and I kind of smoothing out because at first I was in my own head, and Coach Kadeem did have to let me know like you're here for a reason. He did give me that opportunity, and I really appreciate him giving a 14-year-old kid what I mean that big of an opportunity, especially at the center position. I did have the time of my life. I met long friendships I will have for a very long time. Um, and yeah. What was the other question?
Making second team and making second team all conference and divvy a little bit into that Woodbury Forest rivalry. Like people don't really know that rivalry in this area, but that rivalry is similar to like Poly City Poly rivalry,
Yes, yes, yes.
and kind of like divvy into that rival game because I know I was nervous as hell watching that game. So just talk about that a little bit also.
So making second team all conference. I'm gonna be real. I didn't even know like what all conference meant. At the moment, like I didn't even know until they like sent it into our little group chat, and I saw my name like second team all conference. and then people was like congratulating me, and then I found out what it was, and then I was really excited. Um, but that I would say that whole like all conference year thing, like I kind of got better throughout each game. So and then that 2022 year for the IAC was like it was pretty thick. Like the competition level, you could say like debatably the competition level was kind of around the same of like the MIAA. So players were going D1 when we went against Trinity Episcopal. Their whole defense was stacked with 4 and 5 stars. That was like the top team in Virginia at the time. We went against them and we almost won. So those are like games I'll never forget. I'll never forget, especially when we went against Georgetown Prep. We went against Georgetown Prep. We implemented the turkey blocking to stop the 3-3 stack. And I
Mm-hmm.
was one on one. I was one on one with that senior nose guard. And I'm telling Said, I'm like, yo, whichever way I flip him, just run off my back. And we was just in like a flow state. And that's how we was be able to like run the ball on him. We was able to run the ball on him. And we ended up winning that game for the championship. But the Woodbury Forest game was really like our second championship game. That was really the second championship game. So
Mm-hmm.
going into that game, some of the players would like watch film in class, and the teachers wouldn't even say anything to them. Like that's how big the game was. The game has been going on for about now like 125 years, like a real long time, a real long time. So going into the game, we knew we had to lock in. It was a lot of mental stuff, so we didn't do a lot of hitting. It was a lot of mental stuff, and when we went into the game, we didn't go in with no doubts. Like no doubts. We went in like I wasn't even nervous. I wasn't even nervous because I knew like we gotta play these guys and we gotta win. So when we watched film, their defensive line was pretty stacked. They had a guy that was going to Notre Dame. He played defensive end, but he was like a hybrid. So he could play the one tech and the three. So me and Kyle did have to go against him some plays, but he wasn't really giving me or Kyle anything like special. Really, he wasn't really giving anything special. He was more of like, he was like eye candy to coaches. He wasn't really giving nothing like
Mm.
any moves, like nothing like that for real. Um, so I would say the play that I remember like vividly, I remember this play. And I messed up on this play. I messed up. It was a pass protection. I think it was like third and 5. We was on like the 40, and coach said big time players make big time plays, and pass protection, it was slide protection. I slid the wrong way. Alexander Brady like got the ball, and he just threw up a prayer to Boom. Boom came down with a touchdown, and that's how we got the first points on the game. But the score was 28-8. I'm pretty sure it was 28-8, and we weren't the favorites to win that game. Um, and the way our stadium is, it's like a bowl. It's called the Hummel Bowl. So all the people be on the sides, and it was like over 1,000 people. Like it had to be like 5,000 people at that game. So like big third down plays, like talk about stadium pulse. Like it's real stadium pulse. I had to key in on Alexander Brady's calls and stuff like that. And I did make a couple like, mental errors. But it's all about the next play. So when I did make those mental errors, I did move on to the next play and I made the next play. And yeah, I had fun for sure.
Mm.
Awesome,
AD.
awesome. Well, just if like awesome, just hearing about your experience at Episcopal and going to boarding school sounds like a fantastic like shift in terms of your playing experience and in the level of competition and just the level of real game feel. But I just want to take a little bit step before that because it was something that happened in the world before that. I want to talk about 2020, 2021 during the COVID pandemic, right? I want to talk about how challenging was it mentally for you as a player developing during that time, not physically being able to play football like you normally do, but having a focus on your technique and training? Tell me a little bit about that experience during that time for you.
Mm. Great question.
So going into COVID, going into that COVID stuff, like my father, coach said he really harping. He was really telling me like, you want to go in, you want to like come out better than what you went in as. So of course during COVID, we of course worked out, try we tried to keep the blade as sharp as possible during that COVID
Mm.
area. We tried to keep the blade as sharp as possible. So when we got out of that kind of that era, we got back in the gym with Coach Ack, Joey, and we went hard, like really, really
Shout
hard in the
out to
gym.
Coach Joey. Yeah. Shout out to Coach Joey and Coach Ack. Man.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and we went really hard in the gym. That's when I started like hang cleaning, bench pressing. That's when I really started to like start lifting, um, pretty heavy weight, coach.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. Awesome. If I could
Yeah.
follow up one more time, Coach, before we get too far away from your youth league, I wanna talk about your youth league and just having the experience to play with Coach Keon Carpenter, right? And that was a good time during your lifetime. Like, just tell me about that experience and some of those friends that you had during those times. Just if you can think back on those times, just tell me about the experience, Grant.
Um, with like some of my youth friends.
Teammates like so
Yes.
John and Joe and
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mike and
I got
Reggie,
you.
those guys. Like, yeah, some of those guys.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. That's pretty hard to remember. So I remember. I think they was playing at Dunbar.
Hmm.
Um, I think they was playing up Dunbar, and it was a pretty thick game. With I think I don't remember the team they was playing, but I just remember being on the sidelines and then just watching the physicality, especially in the trenches with those guys. And watching like my father, get it like yell at John for making a bad play and stuff like that. So yeah, those are times where I was like, yo, I cannot wait to play high school football. I cannot wait to play high school football. Like I remember some plays like Reggie, he got hit like real bad, came on the sideline, had a like his arm was bleeding. I was like, yo, like I can't wait to play high school football and really go against guys, that's as good as me.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and
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 that's the
just
that's the that's the game Caleb Williams was playing quarterback, the quarterback of the
correct.
Chicago Bears. He was the
Yes,
quarterback of
for
that
the
team.
Bowie
I can't
Bulldog,
remember the Bowie
the Bowie
Bulldog.
Bulldogs. Hmm.
Yep, yep, yep. Coach Bernard,
What's up? What's up? Coach?
how you doing, man? You breaking up a little bit.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You
You
hear
got
me?
anything, Coach
Hey,
Bernard?
Grunt, what's
You got
going
anything?
on?
What's up? What's
Come
up?
on,
What's
Grunt.
up? What's up? How you
How
doing?
you feeling?
Feeling good.
Only question I had before you say names, who your favorite offensive lineman? Who
Favorite
inspired
offensive
you?
lineman? Uh,
Yeah, who inspired you?
growing up, I say since I played guard, Marshall Yonder, and then when I got to high school, like sophomore year, junior year, Jason Kelsey for sure.
Mm.
Okay, okay. So not to jump too far ahead, but what's next for you though? Not to jump far ahead. That might have been a question. Uh, your father asked you, or Coach Kev, we can ask you at the end. So you can end what's next for your journey.
So going to school, internships, meeting new people, of course, connecting with people, trying to get more knowledgeable in film and stuff like that to see what I see to see where I could take it for sure.
Hmm.
Right. Coach said if I could jump in with a question. Um,
Yes.
I want to ask you a little bit about your high school experience. So, playing high school, you had different teams, in the MIAA. Of course, you said at Episcopal in Virginia. What was like the best opponent you faced during your high school years? Do you remember your best opponent you faced?
Yes,
And what was
yes,
particularly
yes.
challenging about them?
Okay, okay. This is a good one. Um, the best opponents I have ever played against was that 2023-2024 Good Counsel team. That team was just like nasty. They were just like crazy. Um, I would say what was challenging about them was everybody was good. It wasn't no flaw, no nothing, no guy we could point out. Everybody was great players. Like everybody was great. And I just had to play my game at the end of the day. I went against Aaron Childs. He plays for Florida now. At the time, he was a top 10 linebacker in the country. And that's probably the best player I've ever went against. I just couldn't stop him. I couldn't stop him. And it's funny that I think about it and I look back at it now I really went against like an NFL prospect and I like when I went back to my technique and stuff, I kind of got him on some plays for sure. But yeah, that's probably the best player I've ever went against for sure. Aaron Childs.
Mm.
Go say it.
Well, so as far as inside, not linebacker depth, who was probably one of the best players you faced uh, inside? I remember your ninth grade year. You called me and told me you was going against. Not trying to go back, but you was playing against some kid that was going to Duke. You was excited. You called me and was like, "Dad, I'm about to go up against this guy. He's a 3-star going to Duke and all this other stuff." And then he wound up lasting like 2 plays before he ain't play no more. But who was one of the best interior linemen that you faced your high school career?
So best interior guys guy I ever went against. The dude from Duke, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that good. He really played tackle. They didn't have depth at D line, so they put him at the one tech, and I ended up pancaking him, and we ended up scoring
Mhm.
that play. But the best guy I've probably ever went against inside. That's pretty hard because I went against a lot of like guys inside. I would have to say the dude from St. Mary's Reich at number 55. That's a guy I'll probably never forget because he pushed me to like another another level of playing. It kind of like unlocked something in the middle of the game. Um, and what he was doing, they don't do that. Like they don't really do that in high school. So he was like he wasn't really slanting. So what he was doing, he lined up in a zero in the nose. And normally what zeros do, they slant. He wasn't slanting. He was
Mhm.
like pressing and then
Yeah.
looking.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was pressing and looking. And I never really went against a player that did that type of like move. So it was hard for me to get my hands inside. It was hard for me to get my hands inside. So if you watch that film, right, it's not a lot of plays where I'm driving in 5, 10 yards down the field. So I had to go back to my technique. I had to go back to when my father was teaching me when I was younger, torquing, especially when we ran duo. So going into that week, that St. Mary's Riken week, we implemented duo into the blocking scheme. And Coach Davis told me, he was like, "We're doing this because I know that you can go against him and dominate him." So I already went in watching film, already knowing that this dude was pretty good. Um, so when we ran duos, um, I'm torquing him, and Amari Wilder. I didn't even have to tell Amari Wilder. Like he already knew. Like once I torque him a certain way, he's gonna run the opposite way, and that's what we were doing the whole game. We ran duo on him, and we ended up scoring to tie the game up 21-21. And then we stopped them on defense, kicked the field goal, and we won the game.
So, Coach KB, I want to talk to you in reference about true gapping. And I know you faced some guys that probably. What was your technique on guys that? Because normally two gapping is an NFL type because of the strength of the
Yeah,
interior
the
lineman. But
players.
right, so what did you do when you were in high school to kind of ward off those guys that two gap?
Well, I mean that is it's just a tough scheme to just go against. I'm just going to be honest as an offensive lineman because they're using their length and their strength against you. I mean, clearly anybody that's doing that, their guys have long arms. So for me, I was more of a undersized guy. So what we used to do is just use whatever we could do as our strength. So like my quickness off the ball was I wouldn't let them get their hands on me. So if we were outside zone, I would make sure I get depth off the ball and I fire off the ball and be able to get my angle before they were able to get me. Me and my teammates on the sideline, we would talk about the technique, whatever may need. Me and my guy Reno, we would talk about whatever we need, or me and Nixon, we would talk about whatever we needed to do to block this guy. If it was a zero and Nixon was having trouble with him on the zero, and we were trying to run, maybe to the left, we would just work with each other. A lot of it is just kind of, how it is in high school, coach. We're just trying to work it out, just make it work the best way we can with what we got. That was what kind of Coach Ren taught us, right? That's what made us great, I think, in our opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
I would try to use my skills, use my quickness, use my strength. I was a strong player, quick player. So if it was a guy that was a two gap, we would try to run a lot of zone or a lot of pin pull things where he wouldn't be able to get the guy that was right in front of him. A guy would kind of down block him, if you get what I'm saying. We would try to do something where we would it was one game back in our career when we ran for all those yards against Emerson, 500, 600 yards a game. I forgot what that was, but we made an adjustment in the game because they were two gapping to double fold on an outside running play. If you remember that, coach said because they were two gapping, we would down block both their inside guys and we would fold our backside guys to get their linebackers. And you remember we broke like a couple 60-yard runs on that team that game. So
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the things we did back in our day to uh, kind of go up against that kind of scheme.
Mm-hmm. Coach Bernard.
Oh, I guess he dropped off. So, Coach, I had a question for Grump. Now, being a player, right? So, going back to your high school playing days, what were some of your pregame rituals? What were some of your pregame rituals that you had prepping for the game?
Pre-game ritual. I would say, of course, using the bathroom, getting that out. You gotta use the bathroom, man. I'm telling you, man.
The bubble guts.
Trust.
Okay.
Yeah, man. You gotta use the bathroom, and I would say, playing. It's this song from Little Scooter. I would say I played that before every game. It's called "Seen It All." Um, I played that. I played that before every game. It really got me like in that locked in mode and that warrior state of mind, and I really went out there and balled out.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of getting into that game day mindset, like where did you have to go? What places in your mind? Not to give away all your secret, but what we all have that kind of place as a lineman, that place that kind of just irritates us and takes us to where we need to go to get our job done. Like where did your mind go as a player? Not to give away your secrets, what it was, but like where did your mind go? What extent did it have to go to get you tuned up to the aggression level that you needed to be to play in a big game, like you said, against St. Mary's or you know what have you, Spalding or whatever what have you the opponent may be.
Okay, so really, where did I go? That's pretty tough. Um, because I kind of stayed like like I didn't really go anywhere because I stayed in a moment, especially in Spalding. Spalding, it was cold. I remember senior. It was the last game of my senior year, and I didn't go anywhere. I stayed in the moment. I had my music playing, and I went outside. I went out to the field to get some mental technique reps in because I knew this was going to be my last game. I knew it was going to be my last game because we weren't going to the playoffs. So I'm working on outside zone steps, inside zone steps, bucket crossover steps, like down blocking steps. I'm just working on my steps, trying to stay in the moment as long as possible because I wasn't trying to drift anywhere else. Trying to stay here and just stay locked in on my job. And I ended up having that's probably my best game I've ever had. My best game I've ever had. Just staying in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's pretty good. Just the mentality, going back into just like the mentality of playing and prepping for the game, like as an offensive lineman, what was your mentality? Maybe what are the top three things, maybe the top four things you came in trying to accomplish every game, no matter who the opponent was, just for yourself, the top four things as a lineman, some of the consistent things you wanted to reiterate in your mind, or, what have you? What are the top like four things you had to do to kind of set yourself every week?
Top four things. I would say film to know what the defender is doing. I would say film for sure because going into Spalding week, the Mike linebacker he would shoot each gap like he would it was
Mhm.
random and Spalding they played some top teams in the country and that middle linebacker and I was telling my father this before we played him. He ran through no lie, this is on film huddle like no lie. He ran through every guard's face, every guard's face, every guard's face. So I would say film
Mhm.
because if I didn't watch film, he probably would have got me. He probably would have ran through my face. I would say
Yes.
two, making like not getting beat, making my standard of not getting beat not one time in game. And after my freshman season, if you watch the film, I rarely get beat on any play. I rarely get beat. So making that standard of not getting beat. I would say three, technique. You're going against somebody that's bigger, stronger, faster. You can only rely on your technique. And I would say the last one, communication with your brothers that you're going to war with, of course, because without communication, especially on the offensive line, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to go anywhere. And I preach when I was playing. I preached like to my guys that I was playing with, like communicate. I don't care like what's going on. Talk, communicate, say something. Like we never quiet. We never quiet.
So, so how would you slow the cadence down from the quarterback? And I know you kind of had to do that from the onset of when you especially with a new quarterback. But how would you communicate to him that look, man, you know, let me ID this front before you kind of get into your cadence. So tell me how that communication went with talking to the quarterback to get them to understand, like, I have to identify this front before we can even really get anything going. So tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
So yeah, when I used to talk to AB and K Finn, when I used to talk to him, I just be like, especially when we went to get Spalding, I told him straight up like, yo, this dude is unpredictable as I don't know what. So just slow it down a little bit so it can give us time to protect you. And I made that clear, like, yo, I'm really trying to protect you because if this goes unnoticed, man, like you done. Like you done. So I just made it clear, like, yo, just give us some time, right? We gonna get to the ball as fast as possible. Cause we ran a hurry up offense, right? And then near in the back end of the season, we kind of did a sugar huddle, right? Because we needed more time to communicate. So once we started doing the sugar huddle and it slowed it down just a tad bit, it gave me and the rest of my guys, the offensive line, more time to communicate. For somebody like Aiden Bell or Caden Finley to have more time to really ID the defense, see what's going on, give me time to talk, and we can run a play.
Mm. Coach KB, after this question, Coach, we're going to get into what we call canary in the coal mine. Well, it ain't
Yes,
necessarily
sir.
got to be a question. It could be a comment, but it's going to be something that's like similar to uh, the elephant in the room.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
so, yeah, so after your question, we'll get right into that.
Okay. I think this
If you
question
have,
is kind
if
of
you
apropos.
have any.
Yeah, absolutely. I got one more question. I think a question is apropos and really one of the most basic questions, but I think it is an important question to ask. You being a special player, playing a special position, being the center position, just as unique as the quarterback position or the kicker position or the punter position, right? You have a specialized position. What are some of the tips or techniques that you needed to use, or what advice you would give to snap regular, or the flip snap? What are some of the techniques that you would give to a younger player trying to learn to develop to be a center, or someone in high school that's learning or shifting to the position of center? What are some of the tips you would give them for snapping the ball, whether it's traditional snap or flip snap, playing a specialized position of center?
Yeah. So first, 100 snaps a day. Muscle memory is everything. Muscle memory is everything when it comes to snapping the ball. I would say with the flip snap, that's a little different because, well, it's not different, but when you hold the ball, what I did was because I don't have big hands, my thumb would grab the laces. My thumb would grab the laces, and my other fingers would just grab the pigskin of the ball. And when you snap it straight back. Snap is just straight back. But when you do a traditional snap, your arm has to hit the inside of your leg. So when you do a flip snap, just snap it straight back, right? Just snap it straight back like in a straight line. And when you traditional snap, make sure your arm is straight, your wrist is locked. Arm is straight, wrist is locked, and this arm is hitting the when you snap it, it's hitting the inside of your leg, and it's going to be perfect every time.
Mm,
Awesome, awesome.
mm. So
Uh,
we're gonna get into the canary in the coal mine, and we'll be right back with that. So this is it's not a coincidence that I got the two guys on and wanted to talk to you guys because um, Coach KB was one of the best interior offensive linemen to really um, play at Baltimore Polytechnic. I mean, he was just that good, and he went from playing high school football to kind of like going into his next life without playing collegiate football. So it was all academics, right? So, and you two guys kind of, because I know Grump is really not playing the game of football anymore. So I just want to kind of divvy in Coach KB to how is that transition for him, and what does life look like after football? Uh, and kind of explain to him what his life looked like after the game of football.
wow. Oh man, coach. It's well, number one, you have to accept it's an itch that you will no longer be able to scratch anymore. So you're willing, willing or not, you were willing to give that up or it was taken away from you're no longer playing. So it's an itch you no longer can scratch. Right. So that's number one, accepting that. I think that's really, really key because as a player who has loved the game, and has done so much for the game is going to take you on a journey just being able to just navigate that smelling when football starts, that urge. You just know the sound of the pads hitting, the sound of people hitting the sled, the echo of the whistle, the lawnmower, the cheerleaders. You're just so used to that, and just breaking that that you're so used to, it's going to take a little while to get used to not being a part of that after being a part of that for so long in your life. um and number two, for me, I think it was important um, to really just sit down and really just evaluate what I was good at in life. What did I want to do? What was my skill set? What was my strength? What was the easiest subject for me in school? What was some of the jobs that some of the neighbors that I grew up with, or my uncles, or my, some of my coaches did? What some of the careers that they have, and what did I think about doing that? Um, did it fit into what I did well, or did I have to sharpen up my skill in that field? So just kind of just going through that, sifting through your experiences, seeing what other people do, and seeing if you're interested in doing those things. I think that was number two for me. Number three was financially. Like, how was I going to sustain myself for the rest of my life if football wasn't going to be that? What career path was I going to choose, and how much did those careers, salaries were like coming out of college in 5 years, in 10 years, like just doing that work of seeing the picture and painting that picture for myself because it was different from football. All I knew was football and routine and team and working together. And I'm walking into a world where it's individual. You're just one of many now. So um, those kind of three or four things, Grump, were the things that I kind of thought about the most during that time.
Coach Bernard.
Well, Grump, I went through that same thing. Me and BJ had a talk when he left Lincoln, and when he left Lincoln, man, it was a relief to him. I was kind of disappointed because I felt like we put a lot of work in there to get him prepared to keep playing. But when he finished that Lincoln, he was done. And like I say, now he's driving trucks and everything, but he feel better at not playing no more. Everybody take different routes and things like that. But and I was crushed when BJ stopped playing basketball and then he flipped over to football. Um, and he only played high school football for 1 year and went down Lincoln and ended up starting at linebacker. But he like right now, if you ask him, he just say he feel better. He say he don't there's no regrets that that he wish he could do different. That's the path he took. And he feel better. So if he feel better, I feel better. I mean, I ain't like it at first, but I had to sit and understand that, it's his life and what's best for him, as long as he don't start doing crazy stuff. And now he working, got a good job, like I say, driving track and trails and everything. You know his story, you know what I mean? But, as long as you happy, man, and and I'm here as your uncle. As long as you happy, man, I'm happy. Whatever route you take, that's what you want to do. That's how you gonna do it.
Yeah, I feel you.
If I can just add a part two, because Coach Bernal, you sparked a thought in my mind. Grump, being a football player, all you know is challenges and accomplishing challenges, challenging yourself. You have to find something that challenges you. You got to find that challenge in life. I think that's important for a person that's coming off the field that's looking for the next chapter. You have to identify challenge and identify the next challenge, because that's what we did as football players. We were always on to the next thing. So in order to set yourself on for success in the next phase is just set goals, accomplish those goals, hold yourself accountable to those goals. I think one thing you were blessed with that Coach Bernard just reminded me of is football is the greatest gift in the world. It's the greatest game in the world because it teaches you everything about life within those white lines. It teaches you teamwork. It teaches you hard work. It teaches you success. It teaches you failure. It teaches you preparation, when you prepare, when you don't prepare. It teaches you sometimes you can prepare the best and still lose. It teaches you, the elements get involved and you still have to do your best. No excuses. It teaches you, the official could be a bit against you, but it still doesn't matter. It teaches you all the things you need to be in life. And playing the game, whether it's short or long, it doesn't matter. You are set up for success and know that going into the next phase of your life, Grump.
It's coach. I feel you. It's coach.
Hmm. So I know uh, one last question. I think KB wanted to discuss um, the Big 33, and not the specifics, but like the opportunity to get to play and the question of the percentages in which you play. Can you elaborate on that, Coach KB?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, you know, organizing, planning, coaching an all-star game is a tremendous challenge. We all understand that there's great players that were invited specifically to come, right? Coaches come from wherever they come from, whether on one staff or coming in the area and they're agreeing to do it. So it's a lot of different challenges, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different elements to it. So, one of the things I think and I wanted to offer you just this thought was if you were understanding the challenges of going into an environment where you're going against equally yoked players, equally invested players, equally invested parents, if you were given let's say, the deal of saying, hey, you have 3 weeks to compete for a starting job for this all star team um, with within week 2 around or the beginning of week 3, we're going to decide who's going to be the starter. The starter gets about 47% of the snaps. The second string gets about 36% of the snaps, and the third string gets about 22. I'm not. I didn't do the math. I'm just throwing it out there. Would you like how appealing would that offer be to you as a player? Would it be something that you would look forward to? You do you think that would how do you feel about that? Just that offer, and I'll have a follow up.
I actually feel good about that offer because it gives people to compete to see where you are in the depth chart. So going in, you just compete, and if you the best, you the best. So I know if I was in that percentage, I know that I'm the best, right? And I would show the coaches that I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing, and I know the game from a theoretical standpoint to the point to where even if I'm lacking in some areas, I know the game, right? So I know what the defense is doing. I watched enough film, and I played long enough to know, the guys that I'm going against.
Absolutely. And but what about, like, so say for instance, if you did not finish first, what about the security of knowing I'm second string
Yep.
and I'm going to play 36% of the time? Or if I'm third string, I'm going to play 22% of the time in all special teams. What about that? Does that seem like, hey, if I lose this competition, is this still something that I can agree to do?
Now coming from it's tough because coming from like them All Star games, everybody, all of those players, kind of like um I want to say egos, but like their head is high from being the best
Yeah.
from that areas. So I would still do it because I still push and had that opportunity. Okay, if you the best, you will play. If you're not, then you'll just be the backup. Because I still had that opportunity of still showing my talents. I would still be the backup and still just work
Mhm.
until I can probably have the opportunity to be a starter.
Yeah.
But for I think for other players, I don't think they would take that. Some players that I know.
Mm.
And just my mindset about it is just, I think it's important for players, to understand that we're all agreeing to be a team, right? This is something we're all agreeing to spotlight, all of us, the players, the parents, we're all investing in, and I think it will be a good idea, like a social contract, like, hey, I'm agreeing to compete, and if I don't win, I'm still going to be a part, and this is what I'm guaranteed. I'm not going to spoil the bunch because I'm guaranteed at least this. So I think, it's just something that I just threw out as a hypothetical that I think it would make more parents be engaged, and more positive about their kid attending an all-star a game. I think it will make a person that doesn't win in competing against other great players necessarily for those 2 weeks. I think it would give them a platform to be great if you film practice, and also give them the encouragement to be a good teammate during the game. So I think, just kind of that kind of social contract, that social agreement would add a lot of positives to that kind of dynamic, so that no negative experiences happen during those kind of times. Everybody's
Mm.
paying for this experience, so it should be positive for everybody.
Mm.
Yep.
Coach Bernard.
Well, Grump, this is a question I ask every guest that been on this show so far, and I ask all the guys the same question. I'm gonna ask you the question: If you had to go back and do things, what would you? If you had to do things different, what would you do different if you had to go back and do it all over again? I know you've been in the game since you probably was like 5 years old. You've been doing it a very long time. But if you had to go back, what would you do different moving forward?
What would I do different? It's easy. I probably wouldn't do anything different. I had a great experience with no regrets. I would say one thing though, my junior year going against Calvert Hall in the rain. Um, I'll never forget that because I feel like it was some stuff still kind of left in the tank, which is crazy. I wish I could have probably gave it a little bit more energy that game. That's probably the only thing. The only thing I would probably go back and change is Calvert Hall, playing in the rain junior year at Calvert Hall. Um, it's probably giving
Okay.
it a little bit more effort.
That's crazy.
Coach, can I
That's
jump in one
crazy.
time,
Talking
Coach?
about. Yep, yep, yep.
Coach, sorry, Grump. I have one question for you. Who was your best coach, and how did he push you? Whether youth league, high school, who was your best coach, and like specifically for yourself, how did he push you? Like, so how did his coaching? How did you take it yourself? Not that what he did outwardly. Like, how did you take on to his coaching?
Okay, so outside of my father, it would be Coach Kadeen for sure. Coach Kadeen. I remember we had this. I had a bad practice. The snaps were like I was messing up the snaps. I was messing up the snaps, man. And that's a I was doing the flip snaps at the time. So I was messing up the snaps one time. And he walked up to me. He got in my grill, and at the end he told me, "Get a football, and I want you out here before every practice, every day, snapping the ball." And I took it to the extreme. So the next day I woke up, right, and it's boarding school, so you could wake up early in the morning and go before class, like go work out, do something before class. So I had a football with me. I took the football and I used to wake up every day 6:30, right, and I would leave my dorm and I would go to the Humble Bowl, the field, and I would just snap the ball against the wall. And I did that every day. I did that every day, and then I would come in, I would go back in, take a shower, and then go to class. And then when practice came, snap before practice, snapped after practice, and until I got that down packed with Alexander Brady, which was my quarterback at the time. And yeah, that's how I kind of got that muscle memory. When we go back to how to snap and muscle memory,
Yep.
100 snaps a day, 100 snaps a day, just snap the ball, snap the ball, and that's
Reps,
what I was
reps,
doing
reps, reps, reps.
every day. Yep, reps.
Mm, it's good stuff, man. So look, that's anybody got anything else? Because that's going to conclude uh, episode 8 of Talking Big Uglies, man. And we want to give a shout out to Jabari Grumpberry for coming on, my son. Um, I want to say good luck on your collegiate endeavors, man, and just wanted to know, that we love you. Shout out to your mom. Big shout out to her for everything she's done for you, pushed you along, handled that responsibility of you getting through school, and we love her. And you got anything, Coach KB, Coach Bernard, before we shut it down?
Before
Nah,
we
man.
land, I think I had one question. Then I'll let you leave you to the last one, Coach B. Um, my question to you, Grump, what was your favorite technique, your favorite scheme? After your whole career, the whole glossary of everything you've learned, all the reps, all the different games, all the different situation. What is your favorite scheme or technique?
All right, so favorite scheme is duo. I love duo because it shows how good of a football player I am. Like it really shows how good of a football player I am. If you watch film on our senior season, every time we ran duo behind me, Salvin, and Holden, it was barbecue chicken with Amari Wilder in the backfield. It was barbecue chicken. Um, and it really showed how good of football players we were, moving that one tech to the linebacker's lap for sure. So, and my favorite technique is torquing, of course, because once I'm going to get somebody, like when I went against freshman year, when I went against the dude, he was like he was short, stocky from Trinity Episcopal. He was kind of short, stocky, but he was like big and fast. He could move, and he was kind of giving Kyle a run for his money. I couldn't move him off the ball when we ran inside zone. So like when we ran inside zone, and he kind of slanted my way, and Kyle had to go second level. I couldn't really move him off the ball, so I had to rely on my technique, and I had to started torquing him. And then once I started torquing him, Sad would read that, and he would just go the opposite way, and kind of off my back, and then yeah, it was just barbecue chicken.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you, Grump, sharing about your high school experiences and your youth league experiences, man. Only up from here. I love you. Thank you for the opportunity to interview you and Coach B.
Yeah, same here, man. The KB hit it on the nose. As your uncle, I'm proud of you, man. If you never suit up again, I'm proud of you because I know whatever you step into, you're gonna be successful. That's what runs in our blood, man. We whatever we get into like that, we really get into it, and then we make something out of it. You know what I'm saying? So you got that Morgan blood in you, man. You gonna rock and roll. I look forward to seeing what's next. What's next on your journey.
Got you, Uncle Pooh. Got you.
Yeah. So this can conclude episode 8, and really appreciate everyone for tuning in. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, And tune in. We'll be back next week, next Wednesday at 9 p.m. sharp. Peace.
Thank you, Coach
All right,
said.
y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
y'all.